Thank you for coming to hang out with us. This is Gain and Glow, a happy lifestyle podcast with me, Vanessa.
And me, Crystal.
Oh, hi.
Hi.
We're back, being consistent and talking about consistency today and how practice makes perfect and follow through gets you to your goals. Because I think that's what we're all trying to do right now, is just get to those goals and make it through each day.
Absolutely. Just getting through each day. That's the goal right now.
That's the goal.
So today's dope quote is from Elizabeth Gilbert, the author of Eat, Pray, Love. It's a simple and generous rule of life that whatever you practice, you will improve at.
Boom. There it is. Simple. Easy.
To the point.
To the point. Practice. It's funny because it's like the old adage, again, something I don't know where it originated from, but practice makes perfect. It's the same concept as that, is where if you keep going for something and keep moving towards something, you'll eventually reach that level. Not perfection, obviously. That's not real, but you can make it to your end goal by just being consistent and consistently trying and sticking with it. And I think that's such an important thing right now to talk about, because nothing is the same, but every day is the same, I feel. And so it's like just staying consistent and moving forward and trying to not fall into that void of nothing and like inactivity or complacency. Or one of my things is the waiting till we're out of lockdown phase.
Yeah, each day feels really like the same. And then also, like, it doesn't really increase my motivation. Be like, oh, I'm going to do something different today. No, it's still dark out. Like, I still have to go to work. Like, no. And so you just, like, talk yourself out of it, instead of, like, if you were able to go more places, you'd be like, yeah, I'm going to the gym. Like, I'm going, like, you don't have you have to set, like, your own schedule. Really? Like, you have to be your own accountability buddy.
Yeah.
But, so like today we wanted to talk about like a 5-step program. No, it's not really a program.
Here's your 5 steps. Yeah, today is, I think it's one of the things that you and I are both trying to work on is like meeting different goals. I mean, like we've talked about before, we set goals with like the planners that we have, and we have all of these things that we're working towards, but consistency and follow through is a whole other aspect of goal setting that a lot of the times you don't get past that first stage of, okay, set your goals. Okay, what's your New Year's resolution? Okay, start this 30-day program. But we don't actually get as far as talking about consistency and sticking with something. And I think right now, too, it's a dangerous time for people to fall into those temporary challenges that don't set up for long-term success. Whether it's, trying to get fit or lose weight or get a new job or hone a new skill, whatever it is, it's really easy to start, but it's just as easy to stop. And a lot of us are only consistent at starting and then stopping, and then starting something else and then stopping that. And follow through is the key factor, and consistency is the number one way to push through, to keep going and to follow through. And like you said, we have come up with 5 steps as a general guideline to meet goals.
Yeah. So step 1, choose your goal.
Figure out what you want to do. The start to every good adventure is first figure out what is said adventure.
Right? So you gotta choose a goal, and you gotta be specific. You can't be like, I want to lose weight. Well, how much weight do you want to lose? What's your ultimate goal? And it's like, for me and Vanessa, like, it's not really about losing weight as much as it is about how we want to feel and like how strong we want to be. Like, I want to be strong. I want to have muscles. And like, weight loss will just be like a side effect of that.
Right. It's funny because my goal when I first started eating healthy and working out consistently, my goal was to lose weight. I was uncomfortable with the way I felt. I felt like I was constantly sick. I felt like, honestly, my anxiety started telling me that I was going to have a heart attack at any moment. I felt that unhealthy, and I knew I was sedentary, and I knew I wasn't like getting healthier, and I weighed more than I wanted to. And so originally it was like, well, I want to lose weight. And then I did, and I set myself up really well to do that, but only temporarily. And then in the journey, I figured out, actually, it's not so much of wanting to lose weight as much as wanting to feel more confident, be a more confident person. So the goal kind of changed, but with a similar mindset. There's still similar steps. But it's true. Losing weight was the original goal, but now I'm like, no, I want a muscle butt.
Yeah, and I think like with when you lift weights or like even like use resistance bands or whatever like engaging your muscles in your body like while doing certain moves, like you feel the strength that you want to get. So you're like, I know that if I keep doing this, that I'm going to get stronger, and that, you know, I'm going to improve and be able to like lift heavier, do more, go farther. Like, and that's like my goal. I'm like, I have a friend who I always watch her little IG videos and like working out, and I'm over here doing rows with a bar, but she's over there doing rows with like 25s, and I'm like, oh my God, I want to get to there. Like, so, I mean, the first step, it's like practice your form, use the bar, get the form down, then add weights as you're able to, and, you know, push through the burn so that, you know, you can, there's a difference between burn and hurt. So yeah. It's just being aware of your body so that you can increase your like weightlifting ability, your strength.
And when you're choosing that goal, you will be more successful if you tie it to who you are as a person. So like if you want to lose weight or get stronger, either one, if you tie it more, instead of saying I want to lose weight or I want to get stronger, more of a I want to be a more healthy person, or I want to be a fit person. And when you phrase that goal and you shape that goal that way, it increases the accountability, because now it's a goal of becoming more of who you want to be rather than attaining something that technically isn't a physical thing. It's not something we can hold. It's more of something that we can be. Just like if you want to be a professional BMX rider, you know, whatever it is, when you choose that goal, framing it in that way and making it part of who you are is the first step to setting yourself up for that success.
Exactly. Like imagining like what your perfect day would be like and who you are living in that day to help you kind of clarify in your mind like who you want to be. Yeah. Because yeah, it's about a change in like who you are, not just not just a number.
Yeah.
So once you do choose your goal, then you need to plot. You have to think about, what do I need to achieve this goal? Like, what do you need to do?
What are your action steps?
Yeah, what are your action steps? Exactly. Like, what steps do you need to take? Like, you want to, like, lift weights? Well, then get some weights. Get some resistance bands. Like, clear out a little, you know, space for you to work out. Like, if you want to be a writer, then you need to write every day. Like, yeah. And it doesn't really matter. Like, yes, make time for it. Oh yeah, that's our next thing. Is making time for it.
Plotting, creating that plan of, okay, so what do I need to be successful? Like, one of the main things, like, when all the gyms and stuff shut down, like we've talked about before, my number one goal was I need to get a bag. I need to get a bag immediately because I know that I like kickboxing. I know it makes me fit. I know it's like part of, even though my original goal was to lose weight with it, it's become part of my new goal, which is to be more fit. And kickboxing is such an all body, but not being able to go to a kickboxing gym, that's the difference right there, is having a bag and not having a bag. Well, you could shadow box, but I don't like to. I know that's not fair, but I don't like to. So my number one thing was I needed to get a bag, and I got one. I had an awesome friend through kickboxing who was selling hers, and then I got a base, and it was like I knew I needed that to set myself up for success. And recently I just got a new yoga mat, which I love. I don't remember the brand. I will post about it if anybody wants to know, but I love it.
That's awesome. Yeah, I know I've said it before, but like I immediately went on OfferUp. I was like looking up gym equipment, and piece by piece I started getting some, and now it's like I have enough to where I can do a lot of different things with what I have. And it's really about like not trying, like, I mean, do what you can with what you have, but if there's like a tool that you need, it's like you should focus on getting that, because a lot of the time you just won't do it because you don't feel like you're set up to do it. And it's just so discouraging. Like and if you constantly discourage yourself, then you're not going to take like the action steps to.
Exactly. If you open up a workout video and you realize you don't have 15-pound dumbbells, that's a really easy way to find an excuse to not actually do that workout video. And I don't know about anybody else, but there's times where my brain's like, well, if we're not going to do that one, let's just shelf it. We'll do tomorrow. And it's really easy to kind of back out of it and turn a lapse in fitness into a consistency in just not doing it and not following through. But I think one of the best things about quarantine this last, in the year 2020 and when COVID and everything hit, one of the best things is people showed that that's not even an excuse. People were using milk jugs as weights. People were using pillows and pumpkins. And yeah.
Cans.
Canned goods. Like,
laundry detergent.
Yes.
Which I was like, oh, that's smart. Because you get those laundry detergents that have the handles. You could just use those versus trying to carry like a jug or something. It's like, yeah.
Exactly. So plot. First step is to actually choose the goal and make it part of who you are. Second step is to plot. Figure out what do you have, what do you need, and what can you use to make that goal. And then, of course, I already pushed ahead. Third step is...
time to focus.
Take the time to
focus. Once again, like getting specific, drilling down. How are you going to achieve this goal? How many days a week do you need to do? Like when, where, how long? Like it doesn't have to be a long time. Like you have to be like, I'm going to work out every day for an hour. Like, whoa. Like, let's be realistic. Set it up for times like that work with your schedule and, work with your schedule. Like, don't try to make it hard on yourself. You're trying to do something new. You're trying to like retrain your brain.
Yeah. And we talk about all the time that gentle structure of working with the tools that we already have. There's certain things that we're not going to be able to do because we don't have those tools available. Not everybody's going to be able to go get a kickboxing bag. So then there's alternative ways to make it work. Like there's different things we can do. But knowing our schedule and creating that specific time is such a good way of making yourself accountable too. Like I know between the hours of 6:30 and 7:30, I don't have a whole lot going on. Even though I'm awake, there's a lot of doom scrolling and checking the news and thinking I need to immediately be like doing something with my phone, where instead I've swapped that out for yoga. And now it's like, because every day I know I'm going to get up at 6:30 and the first thing I'm going to do is eat my banana, which I do every morning, and then I'm going to do my yoga. Every day, 6:30. And setting that actual time, and we've talked about before where I created the space for it, it helps with that consistency when you're very specific and you're holding yourself accountable and fitting it into the pockets of time that you do have. Not pushing yourself to go do an hour and a half of CrossFit after you just worked a long day, or, you know, right before you have to go to work, or whatever it may be.
Yeah. And really, like, when you have a space to do something that you want to do it in, like, just go to that space before you talk yourself out of it. Because most of the time, by the time you get in that space, you're like, well, at least do it for 5 minutes. And then if I want to go back to bed, I go back to bed. But by then, you're probably a little too awake. Like,
yes. That's funny. I like that you say that, because I've recently gotten everything, now that I have a new yoga mat and it's softer, I've gotten everything moved out to my rec room now. So I even do my yoga out there now. Except for a couple of times when I've done it inside. But just physically getting up and walking out to the rec room and being amongst my workout equipment and having my YouTube ready and just being in there, I'm like, okay, well, I'm here. It's almost the same as physically going to the gym. Because then once you're there, it's like, well, I'm out here. It's cold. So I know once I start doing my yoga, I'm going to warm up. So I eat my banana and I loaf around a little bit. And then I'm like, okay, I'm here. But that's such a good piece of advice. Because once you feel like, you can sit in bed and think about doing it all day. But once you've actually physically gotten up and put yourself in front of the equipment, it's like, okay, you're already there. You're halfway through to starting.
Definitely. I do that with myself with going on walks in the morning. And it's like, I'll put on my clothes, but then I could sit there and just drink my coffee and, like, never go outside. But then once I go outside, I'm like, okay, well, I'm out here. Just move your legs, one foot in front of the other. And number 4, tip to keep going, track it.
Yes. Track
Get that data.
Yeah, collect that data.
Me and Vanessa are big data nerds. We like to see what's going on all the time and do the math on stuff and figure it all out. And one thing I've been doing a lot is for tracking is just writing it down on a piece of paper and putting it up on my wall. Like, simple as that. Like, you don't need a calendar, but you can make your own calendar. You can print one off of somewhere. Like, I mean,
you can draw boxes on a piece of paper and number them. Yeah, that's a calendar.
Done it. I've also just written a piece of paper where I've put like 1 through 30 or 1 through 31 on one side, and then drawn lines like columns, and then put like my 3 main things, which was like meditating, walking, and reading. And those are just 3 things I wanted to do every day, and it didn't really matter for how long I was doing them. So I just would write down the time, like how long I did each one, and if I did it, and then a little mark, not like a bad mark, just like a dash if I didn't do it. So it's like I'm not making myself feel bad for not doing it, but it's a reminder, like, you missed this today, so make sure you do it tomorrow. Yeah. Because we really want to create consistency, and you're not going to be perfect. You're not going to do it every day. But if you did it like 20 days out of the whole month,
that's really good.
That's really good. That's more than you've been able to do when you weren't tracking it. Because a lot of the times, too, when you're not tracking, because you think so much, you think that you've done it more or have done it less, and you really don't even know. Like, we have terrible recall. Like, don't ask me what I ate on January 1st, even though that was the day where I enjoyed a lot of food. Don't know. Yeah. Don't remember. It's gone now.
It's funny because I do yoga with Adrienne on YouTube, and she does 30-day practices, and because I just did it the last morning, you would think I would know what day I was on. And I never start it like at the first of the month, or like this last time I started it, got sick and stopped. So now I'm doubling it up to try to catch up. But I never know what day I'm on. Like, I never know if I'm on day 6 or day 7, even though I just did the previous day. I could have done day 6 yesterday, and still today I'm like, is it 6 or 7? I don't know. I don't remember. Because I'm not thinking about that one thing for the rest of the day. It's like, I did it in the morning, and then the rest of my day went by, and everything else is just what it was. And now today is a whole new day. Once I wake up, I'm like, okay, ooh, shiny, like a whole new day. And also when you track, I'm, like you said, we're really into the data and the numbers. This last month, I've been tracking my weight as just something that I track, but I started tracking my food a little bit more closely, started tracking my consistency a little bit more closely, and I measured my arms, my legs, my waist, my hips, my bust, all of it. I measured everything and jotted it down, so now I can track changes in my sizes, because for me, it's not so much about losing weight anymore. It's about getting more fit and more strong. So now I'm actually kind of hoping that I can increase my biceps. So I'm like, now I'm tracking numbers that I want to see go up. I want to see some of these numbers go up. I want to see my thighs get bigger, like, because that means I'm building muscle and I'm toning and I'm, really working towards that. And when you're tracking these types of things, it helps kind of keep you a little bit more accountable of where did you fluctuate and where did you go. But it can help you kind of tie it to different things. For me, I suffer with a lot of inflammation because of the autoimmune disorder that I have. So inflammation plays a part in your measurements. And so it can actually help me tracking my food and my measurements. It can help me realize what things are causing inflammation potentially. And I've started to try to track some of my flare-ups to try to get, because it all ties together. So all of that helps me feel a little bit more in control too. And one of the things when you get diagnosed with something that you have for the rest of your life, and chronic conditions or whatever, is grappling with the fact that it's chronic. Like, you can't control it. It is what it is. It's there and it's always going to be there. But being able to track and try to do things to improve it, and tracking it like that helps me feel like I'm a little bit more in control of it. And that kind of gives me a little bit more like peace of mind. And then it also helps me realize when I'm tracking my workouts, it helps me realize when I need a rest day too. Not just when I lapse, but also when I need to take that day.
Yeah, and when you start working out more consistently too, and if you're like, yeah, I'm going to work out 3 days a week, whatever, then you see how your body feels when you do that much. So when you need to rest or when you don't. Or sometimes you could be like, oh no, I need to do this again because I already scheduled it. But then you look back and you're like, well, I already worked out 3 days a week and I went on a hike. So it's like, no, I actually need a rest. And rest is just as important to progress as doing the movements. And that's something I really noticed with tracking. I was journaling a lot to try and relieve some anxiety, and while I was starting to work out and I was doing everything, and I would just get exhausted, and I'm like, am I exhausted because I put in a lot of work, or am I exhausted because I just feel overwhelmed? And so really tracking down your moods and stuff, which could be as simple as putting a smiley face, sad face, or angry face on your paper to see well, how have you been feeling in conjunction with all the things that you've been doing? Mm-hmm. Because it's funny, tracking your weight every day, it's it gives you a good range to see that you have weight fluctuations and that those are normal and not something to be scared of. And when you start lifting too, your body starts retaining more water and your muscles are all expanding and and repairing, and you'll weigh up for a few days and then it'll drop back down. You're like, oh my God, I lost so much weight. It's well, your body was puffed up for a minute. And you're probably feeling pretty tired in the same realm. And it's well, yeah, it's because I was lifting really hard and I did this and I did that. And being aware of what you do, what you eat, how it all affects you is super important, especially when you're trying to make progress in an area. So tracking is really important, even if it's really simple. Even if you just put a smiley face.
Right. You can just write squares on a paper and track it that way, or you can go extreme like we do and have your Apple Watch and your journal and your food journal and your planner.
Yeah.
Track whatever way you want, but track to make sure you're monitoring your progress, and reward yourself. When you track, you give yourself an excuse to reward yourself. You have physical proof.
And I mean, what's more motivating? Sorry. What's more motivating than having a reward to look forward to?
Right? I have to say this one because we talked about it before we recorded, and then I'll let you move on. My last week, I was really bad at planning. I had an emotionally tough week. It was just hard to get through the week. Like, it was just one of those weeks. And so my goal was survive, LOL. I literally wrote that in my planner, and my reward was snacks. So
I don't know why, but last week was a hard week for me too. And
yeah. But it's funny though, because I tracked my workouts on my watch, and I tracked a lot of what I ate, and even though it felt so hard, like it felt like a really hard week, I still got a perfect workout week on my watch, and it told me that, and I obviously survived because I'm here talking to you. So I realized it felt hard, but I achieved my goals. And instead of walking away from the week feeling like super defeated and overwhelmed, I felt like it was still, I was like, oh, I met my goals. It's right there. It's in black and white that I closed my rings and I did what I needed to do. So it helped me kind of feel better about it.
Exactly. That's awesome. Because it's like you can focus at the end of the week that you're just exhausted and you're like, ugh, I'm not getting where I want to be. I'm exhausted. Like, I don't see anything changing. And then you look back and you go, yeah, no, I was really consistent this week. That means I'm making progress. That means that's motivation to keep going. When you see something on paper that shows you that you've been doing stuff, it's like a mental reward as well as whatever you plan to reward yourself with. And I love rewarding myself with workout clothes. Yeah. I love it. And now even like being home, I have not been able to reward myself as much as I want because I haven't been doing my goals. But it's like when you wear stuff that makes you feel good, it's like it's another tiny little thing that makes you want to do more of like you're achieving your goals. And so when you like plan for things, it's like I like to look at it like, where am I going to be in 6 months if I stay consistent now? If I push through my excuses and like the stress and sadness and all the things that I feel on a day-to-day basis, like if I push through, what will happen? And like really that consistency, which I'm rolling right into number 5. It's keep going.
That's literally it. The final step is to just keep going. Stay the course.
Yeah, because that's how you're going to get results. Is through your consistency. And if you have an off day or ever, just get right back on it. Don't wait for Monday. Don't wait for the weekend. Like, just really don't. Like, don't wait. Like, don't talk yourself into making it a future problem. It's a now situation.
And I cannot stress it enough. Let it be the minutia. If you have one snack or you fall off of your eating plan for one meal, don't let that be your excuse to completely lapse entirely the rest of the day. Like, understand that one fallback or one missed day or one bad meal is just a lapse. That's all it is. We all do it. Okay. There's
no need for drama around it.
No.
Because your goal is more important than this little discouragement.
Yes. And the journey is the slow process towards the end goal that takes that kind of failure and then follow through. Failure and then follow through. And consistency and continue to go. And it's funny, when I do my yoga practice, for the longest time, I was dialed in to a certain extent. You know, I mean, there's some mornings where I take it more seriously or I get more zen than other mornings. And then other mornings I'm kind of cynical. But she always says, thank you for showing up. You should feel good for showing up. You should appreciate yourself for showing up. And in my mind, I was always like, yeah, you know, I feel good that I actually like did it today. Like, I feel good. Okay, I showed up today. But then after a while, it started to click that it's not feeling good that you showed up that one time. It's feeling good that you showed up that next time. And then you did it again. And part of being proud of showing up is mastering actually showing up consistently coming in the next day and the next day and the next day, beyond that first week of New Year's resolution, beyond the shiny phase when you get that shiny new piece of workout equipment and it's fun for the first few weeks, consistently showing up even after it starts to feel less brand new and shiny. That's what she's talking about when she's saying thank you for showing up. You're showing up for yourself. You have to do that every day, and you have to stay the course. Keep it going. So it's setting goals. To wrap it up here, choose the goal. Make it part of who you are. Plot. What do you need? How are you going to do it? What do you need to attain that goal? What do you already have that you can use now? Time to focus on it. Make the time specifically. Tell yourself, look at your schedule. What pockets of open time do you have? Is it 6 a.m? Is it 6 p.m? Is it in the middle of the night when everyone else is sleeping because you're a night owl? Cool. That works. Track it. Track your progress. Track your wins. Track your losses. Reward yourself. Keep yourself accountable. And then keep it going. Just keep going. Don't stop. 1 day, that's a lapse. 2 days, that's a habit. Thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe wherever you find your podcast to stay up to date with our new episodes every Wednesday.
Also, head on over and follow us on Facebook and Instagram and say hello while you're there. And don't forget to drink some water, take a deep breath. You've got this.